Dear friends, I would like to reflect on this topic. Is ancient wisdom in sync with modern living from a religio-spiritual perspective? I would rather ask, can religio-spiritual wisdom of our ancestors show us the road in the modern world that has become a violent place to live in, to peaceful coexistence? I don't think that there can be coexistence unless there is pro-existence. That is, not just living for oneself, but also living for one another. Wisdom is much more than knowledge. It is the result of an integrated approach to understand the reality around us in its totality and on a long-term basis. It is not knowing more and more about less and less, as our knowledge today often tends to be, although that too has a place in our lives. But it leaves us disintegrated. As for the lack of the whole view of the total reality, its benefits are short-lived. True wisdom is a gift of God and comes to us through His prophets. Properly understood and followed, its validity cuts across the boundaries of time and space. It is good for all time and everywhere. The language may change, the methodology of pedagogy may improve, but the message or the truth does not change. It may even be better understood because of progress in sciences. We are a marvelous combination of body, mind, and spirit. Unless our needs and aspirations at all these three levels are met, we cannot find rest. It is true that our physical needs get attention first because otherwise we cannot survive. We need air, food, health care, clothing, and shelter. But these must come under the control of our mind, which has the right understanding of the reality around us. A lawyer once asked Jesus, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" The answer was there already in the Old Testament of the Bible. It was to love God wholeheartedly and our neighbor as ourselves. The lawyer referred to it, and Jesus said, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." But the lawyer wanted to know who his neighbor was. And Jesus gave us that beautiful parable of the Good Samaritan, extending the meaning of neighbor to everyone in need, no matter who that person was. There's a beautiful story of a master who once asked his disciples when they could say that the night is over and the day has dawned. The disciples found that a very strange question. For quite some time, nobody answered. Finally, a disciple got up and said, "Sir, when I see an animal at a distance and cannot make out whether it is a sheep or a goat, then I can say that the night is over and the day has dawned." The master was not satisfied. Another disciple also gave an answer, but it was not much different from the first. And the master was not satisfied. But then the disciples got a bright idea. It is his question, they said, and he must know the answer. So together they asked him to give the answer. The master said, "Now listen attentively to what I say. When you look into your neighbor's eyes and recognize your brother or sister, then the night is over and the day has dawned. If that does not happen, no matter what time of the day it is, you are still in darkness. Your night is not over and light has not come into your life." This is wisdom, a perception that naturally results in love and respect and service of one another. For Jesus, there were no outsiders or strangers or foreigners. They were all his brothers and sisters. That explains his spontaneous response to their needs, no matter what risk and courage it involved. He went even beyond that. He taught his disciples to love one another as he himself loved, even as God loves us. The answer, therefore, to the problem of violence is love, based on the right perception of God, who loves us, who is compassionate, and who forgives, whose plans are always for our good and welfare, one who can never be against us. Secondly, we need to love our neighbor, recognizing in our neighbor our own sister and brother. What then happens? How can there be, when that happens, how can there be corruption, rape, murder, exploitation, and all the evil that has been taking place increasingly in our society? The kingdom of God would imply justice, equality, fraternity, and freedom for all our people, as so beautifully indicated in the preamble of our Constitution, making room for all in our rich diversity and leading us to genuine and authentic unity. It is not enough that we know more. It is not enough that we do more. Nor is it enough that we have more. This is the aspiration of our people today. All this more of knowing, doing, and having must lead us to become more. That is, more human and more compassionate. That together we may forge ahead as one family of sisters and brothers towards unity, harmony, and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Archbishop. May I invite Sister Shivani.
Om Shanti, that is, greetings of peace from the Brahma Kumaris. A very beautiful topic, ancient wisdom for modern living. Wisdom, the truth, eternal. Don't know whether we can call it ancient or modern. It's something which is true, eternal, was there, is there, and will always be there. Will always be there. It's only whether I'm aware of it or I've forgotten about it. It's like any law in nature. Let's say the law of gravity was there, is there, and will always be there. Even before it was discovered, it was always there. It's just that if I'm not aware of that law, then I will live my life, try to live my life in a different way and face the consequences of that. Similarly, we have spiritual laws. And the basic fundamental spiritual law is everything is inside out. Like Brother Rajiv said, we all want happiness. So that's opposite to the law. The law is I am a happy being. That's my quality and the quality of every being. I am a loveful being, pure, powerful, blissful. I am and I radiate. And which means this is me and I bring it out in my every interaction. This is the truth. If I live my journey of life forgetting this truth, not aware, then I started saying, I want happiness, I want love, I want respect, I want trust. So we shifted from inside out to outside in. And then our definition for happiness became, I will be happy when. When I achieve, I buy, something like that. So it became conditional, going against the law. And that's why we achieved everything, we've done everything we wanted, and we're still we're still looking for peace, because it was not supposed to come outside in, it's inside out. So wisdom is just connecting me back to what I already know. I don't have to learn it. It's just somebody reviving a memory lapse. Now I've forgotten what the truth is. The whole day, all of us are sometimes living our life inside out and sometimes outside in. It's just that today, probably in terms of modern way of living, the frequency of outside in has become more than inside out. Because somewhere on the journey, somebody introduced us to a new belief system which said life is a competition. We were all on a journey. We were all driving our car on our journey, and somebody created a thought, let's race. There was no race. We were on our journey. Had we just continued living that way, my life, my journey, my qualities, my values, my principles, my karma, life would be beautiful. But because I created this one single thought, let's race, it's a competition, then my whole purpose of life only became to go ahead of somebody next to me. And then I created stress, I created anxiety, I created fear, I created insecurity, and then all the other words of corruption, exploitation. It all followed with one belief system. When we talk of beliefs, it's not different beliefs of religion. Religion gives only one belief. Belief systems is the consciousness with which I live my life. Like, I want happiness is a belief system. Stress is natural. The paper that I got from here said, stress is inevitable. It's a belief system. It's not the truth. It's somebody's belief. Anger is needed to get work done is a belief system. Life is a competition is a belief system. These are beliefs. And if this will be my belief system, so will be my thought, so will be my action, and so will be the consequence of my action. Wisdom just means to check my belief systems and go back to that innate, the core, the truth, and which says, anger is not the way. Love is my original quality. Peace is my original quality, and not just mine, it's the quality of every being around me. So not only me, but everybody else around me would be very comfortable if I do it that way. If I just change these belief systems, I will be connecting and using the wisdom which is there inside me already. Wisdom is not going to be got from anyone or anywhere outside. Wisdom is what I know, what is comfortable for me. It's only whether I'm using it or I'm suppressing it and doing something which everybody else seems to be doing around me, and we said, because everybody is doing it, it must be right. Wisdom only helps me to remember two things on this journey of life. I am a being, a spiritual being which thinks, feels, and my every thought is energy, vibration, which I create. When I create, I experience. I feel it first, and I create and I radiate. And the second, law of karma. What I radiate will come back to me. If I just live my journey of life remembering these two things, I create, I radiate, what I radiate comes back to me. It's my journey. Quality of life will be completely different. We will still be doing all the work that we're doing, probably more than what we're doing, but we won't be doing it to be happy. We will be happy and then do it. There's a difference. I'm doing this, and when this will happen, then I will be happy. And the other belief system is, I am happy, and now I'm going to do this. So there are two belief systems. We've already tried one for quite some time and seen the result. Try another one today. I'm a happy, peaceful, blissful, powerful being doing work, coming into interactions, into relationships. I'm not into a relationship asking for love. I'm not into a relationship asking for respect and trust. I am into that interaction to radiate, which is my quality. Then life shifts from competition to cooperation. And then happiness, contentment, satisfaction, and absolute bliss will become my natural way of living. It is the absolute truth. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Shivani. If I may now invite Sri Ravi Shankarji. I think that he holds forth a model of techniques, of possibility, that enables us, one of many techniques available in our civilizational heritage, that enable us to acquire, as a reflexive response, the aspirations that Sister Shivani is talking about. What she hasn't shared with us, and I don't know how accessible that is that as a practitioner of Raja Yoga, there are specific techniques which enable one to transform one's belief system so that our deepest reflexive responses when we confront the challenges of life are altered, and that they can move beyond the intellectual understanding of what is needed and wanted and desirable, so that they become a part of our being. And ultimately, that is the goal of ancient wisdom as it unfolds in an ever-unfolding present.
Namaste. Wisdom is beyond time. Like the sun is very ancient, but yet today the sun rays is very fresh. It's not an old stale rays. Same with water. The river Ganges is so ancient, but today's water is very, very fresh. In the same way, I would say wisdom is that's something which is applicable to our life, which is new, which is fresh, yet ancient. That which upholds life, you can call as wisdom. See, the ignorant or fanatically religious, the so-called intelligentsia is fashionably atheistic. And it is the wise one who know how to combine the old and new and make their life. Like a tree, it needs the roots which are old and shoots which are new. Life needs to be adaptable. And this exactly is ancient wisdom. The very first hymn in Rig Veda says, Rishibir Nutana Irute. Agni, second hymn in Rig Veda says, Agni Purvebi Rishibi Nutana Iruta. Modern and ancient rishis do exist. The old and the new, they exist together, and that's wisdom. You know, like in technology and trade, tradition need to be revived and reviewed again and again. This is essential. And the vibrancy of India is that we were able to do this. From ancient times, the tradition were kept, certain aspects of traditions were kept intact, yet we became very much adaptable as time flew into the modern day requirements and life's challenges that one has to meet. What is really wisdom? Why should we be wise? Nobody wants to be in suffering. Nobody wants to be upset. That's something which takes away from suffering, which gives us vision. which makes life vibrant, and which connects you, the individual you, to the universal you that exists in the universe, and brings the immense satisfaction that small gratification doesn't bring, is what is wisdom. And it is available in everybody. It's nothing to do with education, I tell you. You'll find wise people even among the illiterates in the villages, perhaps even more. They know how to manage their homes. They know how to keep harmony in their neighborhood. They know how to bring people together and how to bring celebration in life. Wisdom is that which brings celebration in life, which brings smile on your face, which keeps you healthy and gives you that intuitive ability to see life, what is ahead of you. I would like to add one more thing as we were talking about the thought, I find that thought is like the gatekeeper of the house. Emotions are a little more powerful than the thought. You may think, oh, I am happy, or you may put all your thoughts, but when some emotions come, that's it, they just barge in with such force, all the thought process you kept to yourself, they just disappear. Are you with me what I'm saying? You find your emotions are much more powerful than thought. The situations overpower you. Though you try to say, oh, I want to be happy, or I am happy, I am being, suddenly, what happens, a bolt of emotion comes or some energy comes, and then all this disappears. So we need to work on several layers of our life. First, environment, body, breath. Breath is the link between mind and body. And then mind, the thoughts, and then emotions, which are even subtler and powerful than that. And beyond that is the energy field, that the positivity, the radiance, the soul, the spirit that you are, that comes into play. And all these techniques, meditation and contemplative prayer, as in Christian tradition or Buddhist, Zen meditation, all these is to transcend the thought and reach to that level from where everything else runs. So that is like attending to the house owner, then the guard will listen to what the owner says. Thank you very much.
I describe myself, and I am a struggling, failing aspirant on the journey of life, still seeking happiness, and a predicament that I believe I share with many of you here. And three obviously enlightened, not necessarily in the traditional vocabulary of Hinduism, but elevated human beings. And we have heard three insightful narratives of wisdom. There are subtle differences between those narratives. And what troubles me is that we each have our own narrative of truth, our own narrative of what constitutes wisdom. Is there, ultimately, in a shrinking, interdependent world, do we need to embrace for ourselves and for our own pursuit of being happy, whether it is a revelation of inner happiness or acquiring external happiness, a single narrative of truth? What is the basis? Today, quantum physics. And Sri Ravi Shankarji spoke about how we need to adapt and embrace and evolve and respond to modern, contemporary scientific insights and truths. Quantum physics tells us that truth is relative. Our perception of truth is based on where we are located. And I would argue that our truth in the spiritual wisdom context is also related to where we are located. We don't have a representative, say, from the Islamic tradition. The Islamic tradition of truth is different. And we've just had the Archbishop who's talking about the divine revelation of truth. So surely that the all-embracing truth that we seek must recognize, acknowledge, and celebrate the diversity of truths. If modern civilization is to continue to coexist beyond the rhetoric that we should love, we should embrace each other, unless we are actually willing to live and under the core of our being, recognize that there are a diversity of truths. So I'm going to take the liberty of posing this question to our panel as to whether each one of them recognizes that there is a diversity of truths, and a diversity in traditional wisdom, and a diversity of means to reach that stage of insight and whatever word you want to use. Freedom, union with the absolute, the revelation of the inner happiness. And I have no doubt that each one of them in themselves, the right person, the right place, have a validity. So since Archbishop, you spoke first, and I think the church is engaging with a very complex and turbulent new reality or a new demand pull, to use the vocabulary of contemporary science and economics and business, is responding to pressures on issues such as abortion, on issues such as contraception, and these are the new realities and truths that the church has to look at. Archbishop.
Well, there is no doubt that we have tremendous diversity in all aspects of life. And that is also a gift of God. It is not something to be avoided, something to be respected and accepted. But we need to have dialogue between us. We can always learn from one another. As you mentioned, our perception of truth is always relative. We are moving, hopefully, in perceiving more and more the reality that is around us. But then the other person also, who looks at things in another framework, has a different perception. And what we need to do is to dialogue. Dialogue has become a very important process in today's society. Our neighbor is not our enemy. He is one of us. He is our brother or sister. If we have that perception, I would dialogue with him, and both of us will benefit.
Sister Shivani.
Truth is the same for everybody. Every religion, when it was started, if you look at the teachings of every religious founder, they're identical. It's love, truth, peace, unity, and compassion. In Hindi, the word is dharam. We said dharam sthapan kiya. We say they founded the religion. Actually, they hadn't come to found a religion. They had come to teach us religion. Dharam sikhana. Dharam means dharna. The way I think, the way I be, and the way I live. So each one came to teach us the way of being, thinking, and living, and each one was teaching us the same. It's just that different teachers, so different way of presentation, and we got connected to the teacher sometimes more than the teaching. And so we said, I follow this one, I follow this one, and I follow this one. And today, within one religion also, we have, so it's like a tree, which was the roots, the trunk was one, and then it just got diversified into branches and sub-branches and twigs, but we're all coming from the same trunk, and it's that same original truth. Traditions, the way of being outside, that can be different. But what I'm trying to be is the same for every religion and for every organization, every spiritual organization, every religious everybody. And everybody, if we just study the core, we'll find that they're all the same. But we just need to get to the core and see the truth there.
Well, let me take that question further for you to respond, that it's when you look at religious scriptures, you look at the Quran, for example, there are people across the spectrum of Islam who can use the same text to put out a completely different perspective on it. So diversity, even from the followers, or even the teachers perhaps, is inherently diverse. And you come from a tradition where there is no single teacher. So how do you assimilate and share your experience of this?
Truth is one, but it's expressed in diverse ways. And honoring diversity has been this very central teaching of the tradition. कहते हैं ना सब संतन का एक मत. एक मत है मगर अलग-अलग पथ है. See, to come to this place, there could be many directions. One direction could be you go straight and turn left. Another direction is you go straight and turn right. The third direction could be you go straight and don't turn left or right. But all the directions, when you see them individually, they all appear opposing. But from the context, from the place where they originated, and to the goal, you'll find they all converge in the same goal. And so they are all correct. As you're talking about this thing, I'm reminded of an incident when the right-hand man of Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran came to India. He was a 78-year-old man. Gentleman, he came to Bangalore and said, Guruji, I have this question, a burning question all my life. If truth is one, then the path should also be only one. There can be only one correct answer for a question. How can there be two correct answers for a single question? It's not possible. So if there is one truth, then there is only one correct answer, one correct way for it. Then suddenly this thing struck to me. I said, you come to this place, you could have many directions. I would say all those directions are correct. Because they all originate from a different point. And this suddenly can open up a new vision to our lives. Say, it is possible to accommodate diversity in spite of our goal being moving towards that one unifying truth.
Well, I'm not sure the Archbishop would agree with that. I think that there are...
I'd just like to add one more thing. See, there was only one Jesus. Today there are 72 different sects of Christianity. There was only one Gautam Buddha. 32 sects of Buddhism are there. And in Hinduism, they're countless. You can't even count them. So many sects are there. You can't say that only this is true, the other thing is not true. They all have their relevance at their particular point of time and place. And if they have all elevated people, then that's what is essential.